I've been wanting to share my testimony for quite some time and to share how God has worked in my life. Some of my story is ugly, but that is where I've learned the most. I had the opportunity a couple months ago to sit and have uninterrupted time while sitting in an airport in Dallas for 4 hours. So that's where this begins. As I sit at the airport waiting to go to Arizona to see my son and his family, I'm contemplating my life. Where did my relationship begin with Jesus? First off, my name is Darla Brin. I'm married to my wonderful husband. I'm a registered nurse, mother of 2, and bonus mother of 2, and grandmother of 4. I'm pretty much an introvert, so please don't be afraid to come say hi to me. I appear to have it all together, but God continues to teach me how to be my best self through trial and error. I grew up in a tiny town, the youngest of 2 older brothers. My parents were considered wealthy. My dad worked for his dad, who owned the bank. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, and her parents owned a farm. My parents were pushed together by their parents in high school. My dad was an alcoholic who was never home and always went out with his friends. Dad loved us, but by the time I was born, things were tough. I never got the daddy-daughter moments. I was always trying to get his attention. My oldest brother was attentive, but he was 8 years older and busy. I worshiped my oldest brother. The middle brother was typical energetic boy, but he picked on me relentlessly. He was petite and athletic. Compared to me, I was considered stocky for my age. I too was athletic, but nobody really helped me pursue anything. Looking back, I was a normal size, but my brother was just a little smaller. Even my neighbor told my mom right in front of me, Darla should have been the boy and Derek should have been the girl. Needless to say, that's about when my body image problems began. Also, God made me very sensitive. Things that hurt were taken to heart, and I dwelled on them, feeling like I was never, ever good enough at a young age. If I was only smaller, more athletic, etc., then my dad would want to spend time with me, or my brother wouldn't be so mean to me. At a young age, I'd say 3 years old, my older neighbor boy and his sister would say, let's play doctor. I had no idea what that meant, but when we played the game, I didn't like it. This went on through 6th grade when I moved to a different town. I won't go into details, but it completely changed who I was. I lived with shame and guilt. I could not tell my parents because my dad just loved his friendship with this boy's parents. For the longest time, I blamed my mom for not picking up clues that I was being molested. I can't even hardly say that word, but it's true. I've been told since then, oh, you know how young kids are. They like to explore things. I'm sure it wasn't that bad. Well, it was bad to me. No one stepped in to stop it. No one protected my innocent mind. It's like my parents just checked out when I was growing up. Looking back, I know my mom was overwhelmed and just trying to survive. My dad would come home almost every night drunk, and they would argue. It was not a peaceful place to grow up. I believe because of all of this, I developed high anxiety, which resulted in an eating disorder. This happened in 6th grade. I just quit eating. It was so intense that my family begged me to eat, and I made a deal with God. If you let me eat again, I will follow you. At this time, I did not know about a personal relationship with the Lord. My family got all dressed up to go to church, and we looked perfect. In fact, everyone thought we were perfect. For the longest time, and still sometimes, I think I have to look or act perfect. This just ties into the body dysmorphia that I suffer from. The times that my dad would pay attention to me were when I was skinny and dressed up. He would comment, oh, how cute I looked, or I was so pretty. My restrictive eating lasted about a year, and after we moved, it finally was under control. I had new friends and new activities and was away from the neighbor boy, finally. My parents got divorced when I was in 8th grade. It was a good move on my mom's part, but at that time it was just her and I. My middle brother was away at college. My oldest brother was married. So I'd lost all the males in my life and was searching for something. I had no boundaries and was up for anything. A friend of mine started taking beer from the person she was babysitting for, and we'd get together and drink. I loved the way it made me feel. My freshman year of high school, I met a junior guy, and we started going steady. He would take me to the cool high school parties with alcohol, and I drank a lot of alcohol back then, and also I became sexually active. Looking back, it's no wonder because of the highly sexualized life I had lived growing up. I dated this one boy for 2 years, and he went off to college. So once again, I started dating another guy who was in my class. He was a Christian, and we talked a lot about Christianity and heaven. I quit drinking and asked Jesus into my life. I confessed my sins and truly felt different. But despite that, this boy and I were also doing things we shouldn't have been doing. Looking back, I was writing my own rules, as he was also. Eventually, this boy and I started drinking. When we turned 18, we started going to the bar every weekend. He started to really like it. We were so mature, we thought, and decided to get married when we were almost 19. I was going to Marymount College at the time and got a business certificate after 2 years. Things were going fairly well for two young married folks, except we continued to drink a lot. I was smoking and drinking and had an epiphany. I'm just like my dad, and I didn't want to be like that. I stopped drinking and smoking and went back to church, trying to turn my life around. My husband at the time was still partying. Around that time we got pregnant, but I miscarried at 3 months. I went into a deep depression and my eating disorder came back in full force. Even though I wasn't eating, I got pregnant again. I survived on very little food those first few months, but eventually started eating again. I was so afraid that my baby would be born with a defect due to not taking care of myself in those early months. My baby was born healthy and my life was overjoyed with gratitude. God was still important in my life, and at this time my husband was going to church with me and our son. It was a good time in my life because my husband rededicated his life to the Lord and life seemed good. We hardly had any money, but we always seemed to get by. Our daughter was born a couple years later, and life seemed complete. Fast forward to kids in grade school. My husband started acting different. He was ticked at everything I did, and finally I found out he was having an affair with a coworker. He told me he didn't love me anymore, so life was tough, and he moved out. I never wanted to split my family up, but realized this is one of the sins that God allows a divorce for, is cheating. So decided that's where I was going to go. But my husband said one day at work that he had a lightning bolt strike him, and he didn't want to lose his marriage. We worked hard on making it work, but he could just not help himself. He cheated again several times with different women in different circumstances. It was after a very difficult time that he said he needed to get help with his alcoholism, so he went to treatment. At this time, I went back to school to become a registered nurse, something I'd always wanted to do. My husband had the opportunity to be transferred to Tucson, Arizona, and we decided it would be a good move for us. No one would know us or our struggles. So we moved to Arizona, and I finished my RN degree. Things seemed good, but I could see old habits start again. The grocery stores had rows and rows of alcohol. So much alcohol I'd never seen before. My husband started drinking wine, since wine wasn't at all like the beer he previously liked so much. I guess I wasn't very smart because I fell for that line. Also, he started going out after work more and more. We bought a house in Tucson, my dream house, but life got difficult. I should tell you that at this time I had 2 college-aged kids, our kids' graduations, and then 2 weddings 1 year apart. Shortly after we bought our house, my daughter announced she was pregnant. I could not have been more excited. I went back to Kansas for a week to get her some stuff for the baby. When I got home, my husband told me he had been trying to figure some stuff out and decided he was gay. Yeah. After it had been 29 years of marriage, I was like, okay, well, I can't compete with that. So, and I started laughing. I was laughing because I had gone through so much with him. I said, I'm out of here. And within a week, we sold our house. I quit my job and got the heck out of Tucson. I liked Tucson, but knew how much I missed my mom in Kansas and wanted to be present for my first grandchild coming that fall. All my property was put in a pod and shipped to Kansas. My best friend, bless her heart, flew to Arizona and rode with me in my car with my dog back to Kansas. I'll never forget her kindness and love. The divorce went through, a new granddaughter came, and I felt happy. I got to spend wonderful time with my mom during this time. About a year after this, I met Mark, and instantly we hit it off. We have the same sense of humor. We are roughly the same age, love the same music, and we just couldn't see each other enough. We got married a year later. We've had our ups and downs, but God is still teaching me things. We have both brought old baggage and have to sort it out at times. I have a hard time with trusting. I have had the important male figures in my life leave me throughout my life. My self-esteem tanks sometimes, and without my Savior Jesus Christ, I would have gone down a different path. God has recently put me on a path of redemption and grace, and he reminds me often that I am fearfully and wonderfully made. He has shown me that I am a work in progress and continues to teach me. He has made me just the way I am. He carried me through the rough times, and he walks beside me during the not-so-rough times. He knows I struggle, but oh, how he loves me. He knows I'm not perfect, but loves me anyway, and I still struggle with some of my past issues, but not like I used to. When I start to go down the self-critical path, I am learning to give it to him. I doubt myself, and I'm a people pleaser, and I am learning how to set boundaries with people. So I am learning to stand on the promises of the Bible, promises of Deuteronomy 31, 6-8. The Lord himself goes before you and will be with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Do not fear or be dismayed.